Hello my friends, my name is Tim Johnson. In this video, which is entitled Staying Sane, I want to share with you a couple of tips. One which really interesting that I only learnt about the other day, on how I improve and strengthen my mental health and mood on a daily basis. Mental health is a massive issue at the moment. In the current situation, depression is at epidemic proportions. It's massive amongst all ages, and there are different levels, as you probably know, of depression. And as someone who has suffered from mental health issues for most of my life, which have led to addiction, as you know if you followed this channel, and please subscribe, like and share the videos, because I just want them to help as many people as they can. Yeah, mental health is extremely important to me, and I have to maintain it on a daily basis. I have to keep an eye on it. I have to strengthen it, as I say. And there are all sorts of different levels. And obviously in this video, I'm not talking about those of you who may suffer, or those people who may suffer from very serious mental health issues, serious bipolar depression, schizophrenia, all those sorts of things, manic disorders. Obviously, those things need to be treated by professional people. But quite frighteningly, all across the world, people are visiting their doctors and are suffering from low level, if you like, and quite serious, a lot of people, depression, which has been brought on in a lot of cases by the current coronavirus situation, in as much as people are in prison. They see no end to it. A lot of people have lost jobs, careers, homes, can't feed their families. Stress levels are through the roof. And as you probably know, and I've done quite a lot of research on this, mood and depression, there are certain chemicals in the brain which have massive effect on those things. Serotonin and dopamine spring to mind, as do endorphins. They're all things that, particularly serotonin, that affect mood, energy, etc. And the stress hormone cortisol is very important in this equation too, because when the stress hormone cortisol is high in the body, and we may not even notice that happening, then that reduces the serotonin and dopamine in the brain. Now, serotonin, as you know, when that's low, then people have depression. And that's why doctors prescribe SSRI, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which increase the levels of serotonin in the brain. And this works on a temporary basis. But I learned something really interesting the other day, and there's lots of things you can do naturally to help yourself in this situation, which you may feel is out of your control, but there are certain things that are within your control that you can do to help improve your current situation mentally, your mental health. And mental health needs to be maintained as physical health does. It's probably more important, because without that, you haven't got the motivation to look after your physical health, well-being, to move forward in life, to get stronger, to motivate yourself. It's very difficult. And I've been there, lying in bed, can't get out of bed in the morning. So I understand how difficult it is to dig yourself out of that hole. I learned something very interesting the other day, though. And it makes perfect sense, really. We're more disconnected as human beings than we've ever been in our history. And obviously the current situation has exacerbated that in every way, as does the internet and phones and social media sites and all the rest of it. We're totally disconnected. Our ancestors that hunted on the savannah were tribal people. We need to be together as a group. And there's lots of reasons for that in our DNA. Protection. As a group, we're safer. In those days, certainly they were safer. They hunted together and were more effective working as a team in hunting down much larger and more dangerous prey, in building communities and shelters, and growing and maintaining their lives and livelihood, growing food, etc., etc. And that's built in over thousands of years into our DNA. That need for connection, that need to be part of a tribe, to be part of a community. And that's all been taken away from us. And that causes massive spike in cortisol. And everything I'm saying now, you can look up. These are big studies been done on this, and scientific proof. The cortisol will spike because of this loneliness. There was a massive study done, and people were asked over many countries, thousands of people, and they were asked the same question. In a crisis, how many friends do you have that you can rely on? Now, in my day, going back not that long ago, we always had 3 to 5, if you like, very close friends. And you could honestly say that you relied on them in a crisis because you'd probably grown up with them, or you'd stuck together, socialised together, went out and had adventures together, etc., etc., and had massive amounts in common. These days, the predominant answer was none, 0. This was by far, frighteningly, the most common answer. The thing is, going back to that tribal thing, if someone was separated from the tribe in those days, it makes perfect sense, really. They were in massive danger of being eaten, killed, dying in the harsh climate and surroundings, and their cortisol levels would spike. And this loneliness and disconnection causes this spike in cortisol levels and lowers serotonin and dopamine. And this causes low mood, depression, anxiety, you name it. All the negative emotions come along with this. What can you do, you ask yourself? Well, there was an experiment done fairly recently, and again, you can look this up without me going into it in great depth. But there was a group of 30 people from all sorts of background surroundings who were all suffering from depression and being medicated for it, and were isolated, if you like. And as an experiment, they were brought together 3 times a week to renovate an old piece of ground and grow, which was scrap ground, and grow vegetables and whatever in the ground. But the predominant thing was to get them talking and meeting. And as the weeks went on, interestingly, but not surprisingly, really, they had things in common. They were talking about they became a tribe. They were talking about what they were growing. They were in touch with nature because they were tilling the ground, if you like. And slowly and surely, their need for prescription drugs just disintegrated. Their mood elevated, their depression lifted. Now, I'm not saying this would work for serious depression, as I mentioned, but you need to stay connected. And I'm going to share 3 or 4 things with you, but one of the main things that I try to do, it's essential for me not to isolate, because in the past, when I was in addiction, I isolated. It's essential not to do that. So if you haven't got, if you're not lucky enough to have a family, I make a point. I talk to my family every day. You know, we moan about, I suppose, phones, and I have done in this video already, but at least we can FaceTime and talk or whatever, talk to them, see them in the flesh, because they live in a different country than me at the moment. But I do that every day. I talk to them every day. I volunteer several times a week in a like-minded group of people who are very much have similar problems to myself, but we do and help other people. Doing that, talk to your neighbours, get out and about, don't isolate, make connections, communicate with people, join groups online if you have to, but don't rely on those Facebook friends, if you like, because that's all virtual stuff. You want to get out and about if you can and meet like-minded people. And you'll find that will have a massive effect on your mood and your mental health, particularly if you volunteer for something, because that'll give you purpose as well, because that's very important for mental health. You're helping other people, you've got purpose. Find a purpose and create things every day. That's another thing. So stay connected. Another thing is, interestingly, diet. Again, I talk a lot about diet on here, but there are several things you can do to really help your brain. The brain, and again, there's studies on this that are proven. Omega-3 has massive effect on the brain, positive effect that is. They're using it to improve even things like Alzheimer's disease. The brain has fatty acids in, and the fatty acids work to create new connections within the brain. They help stimulate the brain tissue, help it grow, keep it healthy. So a big dose of omega-3 every day is helpful. I have 1,000 milligrams every day of omega-3, but also eating a lot of oily fish, particularly salmon and things like that, which have high amounts of omega-3 in them. Really important. Things like eggs as well, important. And also dark fruits, blueberries in particular, are really good for brain health. The phytonutrients and antioxidants in there are brilliant for the brain. All dark berries, similar. And also lots of nutrient-dense fruit and vegetables, particularly green, leafy greens, kale, spinach, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli. Anything anti-inflammatory is good for the brain and will help your mood and will help your mental health on a daily basis. Obviously, I don't need to mention exercise because I always do on here, but that is very, very important for mood. Getting out and about will stimulate endorphins. It will raise your dopamine levels and serotonin levels. Getting out in the daylight will do that as well. Sunshine is really important for that. If you can get, but just daylight will do. These are all really important things. Goal setting, another thing. Writing down 3 goals a day, even tiny goals, and achieving them will stimulate oxytocin in your brain, dopamine in your brain when you achieve them. All these things, getting rid of stress by dumping everything out on a journal every day is all good. And there are things that I do daily, such as Wim Hof breathing, cold showers. These aren't going to suit everybody. Meditating, just taking a breath, spending time in nature. If you can, and if you're in the city, there must be a park somewhere or even a tree. Just get in touch with nature, take a breath and spend a bit of time in it every day if you can, and that'll bring you back down to earth and root you, if you like, ground you. So there are a few little tips for you. I hope that's been helpful. Please subscribe, like and share the videos. Carpe Diem, seize the day today. Protect your mental health because it is extremely important. It will keep you strong. It will keep you sober. It will protect you in these very uncertain and fearful times. Much love to you all. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.